Playing Possum Podcast.
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 Hi.
Hi.
You found us.
I found you.
Welcome to the Possum Lair.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Tori. OG.
I know. This is so
like later on that same day.
So good to see you guys.
Likewise. Thank you so much for doing this for us. Really appreciate it.
Oh, I don't say thank you yet.
I'm hoping it gets weird.
Yeah. Oh,
I wore a costume.
no problem.
I'm calling it Business Housewife. So it's like a house coat for those on you who can't see it on YouTube with a shirt and tie. So yeah.
I like this purple. It's very regal.
Yes. Yeah. I've been up since 3 a.m. doom scrolling. So I needed something to pep me up.
Sounds very healthy.
We just hit record and we figured, we can start whenever, but maybe we might pull something from the beginning. But yeah. Is this your first podcast?
No, but it's the first one where I feel like I should be more on a podcast. You're my buddies, and I might know a bit more what I'm talking about. I don't know. We'll see. I've never actually listened to I did two, and it was like with other artists in Atlanta. Nice. And I cringe as to what I might have said.
All good things, I'm sure.
Hi, Casey. I don't know if we've met. I just wanted to say.
I don't think we have met, but it's really great to meet you.
So nice to meet you.
Casey is the jam. So Casey and I met in Oregon, and we've worked together on some projects and have just become close friends. And so, yes.
I'll try not to be jealous.
I thought we definitely should tell the story of how we met. Do you remember it?
Oh, yes, I do very much remember it.
I want to hear you tell the story and then I see if it's what I remember.
Okay. So we always had to do the presidential fitness test back in the day. Yeah. And you had to do like a mile run on the track. And I was like probably one of the slowest people ever to go through our school. And I was like just tooting along and by myself way at the back. And then Catherine comes up, she's like, oh yeah, this is like so hard. Like I hate running. And like it's like, oh my gosh, finally someone else who is as like out of shape as I am running with me. And then we started chatting. And then like later that year I come to find out she's like a professional athlete on the field. Probably been drafted. It was like, it really warms my heart that you wanted to be my buddy.
Yeah.
I did. Right? Is that how
that's kind of how I remember it. I just straight up lied to you and was like, I hate running. Yeah. Just so you would be my friend. But I just felt like you were like, I was like, this person is rad. Like they're not even trying
I was
like
trying.
Well, I mean, you were just like not like you weren't bought into like you have to be I don't know. It just made me feel like this is someone I need to be friends with, and I'm gonna just like hang out with this person because I had just come to the school, and so I was like, oh, yeah, this person's cool, and so yeah, and then I was like, oh yeah, I hate running. I mean, I think everyone hates running, but I like at that time in my life, and still even now, I like run for pleasure. Like it is fun for me, and so I definitely did. Tell you I fib.
Well, I did.
Yeah.
All right. Me next. Do you remember? How was your trip? Because I can't remember if it was through Catherine, and I kind of think it wasn't.
No, it wasn't. I think it was through Eula.
Yeah. The late great Eula Ginsberg.
And yeah, painting class, and like it was like a Saturday morning painting class at Atlanta College of Art. And we were in class together, but I feel like we got to know each other better though at Governor's Honors. Like
right, yes. Yeah, that summer. And by then I realized the two of you guys had found each other at Westminster.
Yes.
With Small, Small World.
I know. Eula.
Well, again, a joy, and thank you for joining us today. We're going to pick your brain about all things art. Where are you currently? Are you in your studio?
I'm in my studio, which is at home, in my attic. And yeah, I figured I was like, I didn't know if this was going to be video. And I was like, I should probably be up here just in case instead of in my kitchen. Yeah. Yeah, this is it.
And the space is relatively new to you. You guys just made it happen.
I had been after grad school, which was about, was that 10 years ago almost? I got out and I was renting a studio at like a place just within downtown Atlanta, but it was on the west side and it was awesome. It was this great space with 3 other artists, and we also had a little gallery that we started there. And then I got pregnant with my first, and I just didn't know if I wanted a little kid crawling around on the floor that would like get flooded from time to time and had like nails and all sorts of stuff on it. Because I anticipated wanting to continue working as much as I was at that time. I didn't really have an awareness of how my schedule would change. But anyway, so I moved out of there, and what I ended up doing was I got with a grant I got from the Joan Mitchell Foundation. I ended up building out the attic to be my at-home space, which was awesome. And so I was working here from when I had my first, and then I had 2 more. And then I actually moved out last year to Atlanta Contemporary for a year, which was great. But I just realized that I was able to, in that time, kind of rearrange my studio and make it how I wanted to be at home. And I was like, well, might as well just move back. And so I've been back since November, and it's been great. It's been actually really productive in here, much more so, I think, than before. It was just very chaotic and overwhelming, and I was able to like streamline things in here. I don't know, probably too much information.
No, not at all. Well, I was thinking we all have home studios as well. I was wondering if you felt more productive with the studio space in your home, or when you had to pack up and leave for the day, or.
I think they both have their advantages. I do love that. I think for that whole year, I was really loving, and I was telling everyone, it's so nice. I don't have to worry about the laundry, when I don't, it's like, it's out of sight, out of mind. I'm just here from this time to this time, and I work, and there was a lot to that, but I also feel like it maybe got me in the mode again to work consistently and know I have time that I need to be in the studio and not get distracted by home and kid stuff. So I feel like I am being very productive now. I feel like I just had to relearn how to separate work and home life again. If that makes sense. I like it. I love it, being home.
Yeah, it looks bright. It looks open.
Yeah, I got a little window up here. Yeah, it's good. But yeah, how about you guys? What's you like?
I love my little studio. But there have definitely been times when I wished it was offsite and not, not behind my house. It makes it real easy to go inside and do something else, and then 10 minutes becomes half an hour.
Yes,
you lost some of the best light of the day, emptying the dishwasher or doing something like that.
For sure.
Yeah, but it's convenient. I mean, it's steps from my back door. I'm very grateful for it.
Yeah, definitely. I have to force myself to put on actual clothes before I sit down at my desk, or it just becomes like an all-day bed pajama party. And then eventually I migrate to the couch, and then I do nothing. But doom scroll.
Yeah. I put on, this is actually my painting shirt. I have painting clothes. Well, you can't see them. Well, here you go. There's some
painting. Yes.
I put on all my paint stuff. So I'm like, okay, now I don't have to be like, oh, I got to go change because I'm painting now. It's just this is my uniform for when I go into this room, or pretty much every day. But yeah, it's a big step mentally.
Yeah, I do that too. I think like if I have like my shop clothes on and I'm like a little bit dusty, then I'm like less likely to like get in bed or get back on the couch and like get comfy. So there's like something mentally to like shift that. But yeah. We're having Tori Tinsley, an amazing artist from Atlanta, on the podcast. And Tori and I know each other from high school. And Jamie and Tori know each other from the Atlanta art scene. And Casey and Tori are meeting each other today for the first time. But Casey has heard me talk about Tori's work for a long time. And I have several of Tori's pieces in my house. So Casey has seen Tori's work. And yeah, so we wanted maybe you to just introduce yourself and talk about your work as you would like to be heard and seen, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. Gosh. Okay. Well, I'm Tori. I am an artist. Obviously, I'm a painter, sculptor, ceramicist, and I guess like the big thing about my work is it's comes from a very intimate place. It's usually around family and relationships. A lot of emotion comes through typically regarding those relationships. And things have kind of changed over the years, like what the specific person or topic is. But I guess when I went to undergrad and I got a painting and drawing degree, but then I wanted to do art therapy because I had a really great experience doing art, teaching art in like a art in prisons class I had. And so I did art therapy for a while and I loved it, but I got really burnt out when my mom got sick with degenerative brain disease. And so I was going home after a really emotional work day, helping other people, and then making my own art to process what was going on with my mom. And I was like, I just need to, I think, transition to making art again, because it's always been my number one love. And so I applied and got my MFA at Georgia State, which is an awesome program because it's like free and it's 3 years. And it gave me the time to figure out how to like visually say what I wanted to with my work and like all what was going on. So I ended up creating this like hug series out of that about, losing my mom mentally, but she was still here physically. And that things, since my mom has passed and my kids have come around, it's been more about motherhood, being mom myself. And now it's shifting again into this new territory, which I'm really excited about. But I can talk more about that later. But yeah, I guess that's kind of me in a nutshell. Does that?
Yeah, that's great. I love that. And I think so. The last podcast we put out, Jamie and I talked a little bit about how our work is personal. And yes. So we wanted to have you on because like you have done such an amazing job of sort of doing personal work, but actually getting it out in the world. And that's something Jamie and I have talked about, our struggle about like sort of getting past. I mean, I named the podcast Playing Possum because I am so phenomenal at like having the desire and the want to make work, but then the fear of like sharing that vulnerability is very intense for me. And so, yeah, I mean, like you recently had an installation at the Atlanta airport and like I just, yeah, there's so much vulnerability in your work and it comes through so beautifully. And I just admire how much you're able to like put the work out there. And so I'm curious about sort of that process for you of like, are there times and were there times where you felt like you were playing possum or needed to play possum, and then where you were able to like get your work out and don't feel that struggle as much now? Or I don't know. Does that question make sense?
Yes, 100%. No, every episode I listen to, I'm like, yes, that is me. Yes. I relate so much to all the playing possum different ways we play possum. I do it all the time still. In grad school, my cousin, he was it was like graphic design or something, but he was really big into like getting the work out. And he told me, he's like, you got to get on Instagram. And I was like, ugh, I hate social media stuff. I was like, fine, I'll get on Instagram. And it was really helpful in connecting me over the years. And I hate Instagram. I like loathe it. I'm trying to get off of it and get on Blue Sky, but it's like a slow process. But it was very beneficial to getting the work out there. And I don't think I had a lot of fear at that time because maybe Instagram was different then, but I didn't feel like I was, I don't know. Like I feel there, I also don't, I'm not a doom scroller in terms of Instagram. I don't get sucked into it. But I don't like being on there. I know it doesn't make me feel good, but I won't spend a lot of time on there. But maybe I wasn't looking at what other people were doing or how many likes people got, but I was just using it, to get my stuff out. And over the years, it's been good to do that. And then I've had people tell me not to do it as much. And then I've had people tell me to do it more. But I just kind of decided, all right, I'll just do it when I feel like I really like a piece I'm doing again. Because I kind of got off for a year. I'd be on occasionally. Anyways, in terms of that, so just getting the workout. And every once in a while, I'll like get on my website and I'll update it to get that out there, but I hate doing that. The biggest thing I play possum with, and this is why it's really nice having kids, is I don't like going to openings anymore. And there's amazing work here in Atlanta, and there are amazing shows in Atlanta. And I love so many of the gallery owners and people showing here, and I should really show up and support them. But I'd rather play dead on my couch or with my kids, because it's like always after like a long week, and my kids are exhausting. They're all like under 6 years old, and I just would rather just chill out at the end of the evening. And it's hard. I mean, I don't know, if I'm going to go out, I'd rather do something else, I guess, right now in my life because it feels like work going. And
Atlanta's such a car town. I mean, anywhere is a half-hour commitment just to get somewhere.
Yeah. And I'll go to an opening and I'm like, oh, this is it. I'm going to get back out there. And I get really excited. And then like another 3 months have gone by and I haven't gone back out. But it's such an important part of connecting and getting your work out there. And I haven't been doing it, but I don't know. That's like the biggest thing, the biggest area.
Kudos on the installation at the Atlanta airport. I mean, it's innumerable the number of people that will actually see your work, but potentially really far more than you would ever reach online.
Yeah, it's pretty great. I mean, that's where it really helps to get out there, because I met the curators through other people when I used to go out. You know what I mean? It's like, it's all about who you know so many times. And
I used to hate hearing that. And I heard that so much as a student. There's something that felt so icky about that. It felt like underhanded and back alley and stuff like that. And it's not. It's the plain truth of the matter.
It's like any business.
You've met someone, it's so much easier to create a new opportunity with somebody you've already met.
Yeah.
So don't play possum.
And
get out.
Yeah, get out.
Well, and it's that was your second installation. Is it still up, or is it?
Yeah, it's still up.
Terminal E? Is it Terminal E?
Yeah, E15. Yeah, I just saw it with my kids. I like drug them over there. We landed in Atlanta, and they're like, we want to go home. I'm like, no, we're gonna we're in A. We're taking the train to E.
To the center of the train and away from the doors.
Yes. Yes. They love the plane train.
Oh my God. Yeah. I remember before your first one, Marcia kept being like, Tori's art needs to be in the Atlanta airport. And she was like, just kept saying it like for like months. For months, like seriously. And then she was so excited when you got your first installation. She was like, take my picture with it. Like it was
manifested it for me.
Yeah. She was very proud of you. And I think maybe also of herself.
Yeah, that was a really fun project. This last one for sure. I loved it. It got me jazzed about art again.
I recently saw a photo of it, and I had known your work mostly as paintings. And first of all, I was so stoked about how uncanny it is, the style between your sculpture and your paintings. I thought that was really cool. And I was just wondering like how you'd gotten to the point of like incorporating sculpture into your shows, or like it being, you know, the centerpiece of the Atlanta Airport exhibit.
I don't know. It just, I think even since grad school, I've been playing around with sculpture. So I would have like pieces come out from the wall, or like it was usually like fabric related, like stuffed things. And I get really bored if I'm just painting all the time. So
Cool.
I just wanted to, I don't, what happened with that? How did that happen? Yeah, I'm just always, that's when I'm doing the ceramics. I think I was, oh yeah, I had like the donkey that was in the middle. I had in the studio when the curators came from the airport, and it was just the donkey. I don't know if I don't think I had the person on there yet. They're like, they just like both like beelined it for just that donkey. And they're like, this should probably be in it. And then they kind of gave me free reign to figure out what that meant and how it would look and like what case size. And so I just started playing around with them. And they talked about like maybe just painting the background instead of what I ended up doing with the cardboard, like almost mosaic like with the cardboard, but in the background. Anyway, and part of that was I didn't want to go to the airport and paint the case. I'm lazy. So it's like, make it in my studio and then transport it. And then I'll be less time having to go work in the case. So really it's just laziness and just, yeah, this idea that I love it when curators or whoever comes and gives me ideas. You like when Catherine, when you came, you like gave me some ideas of new things to do. It's like, I don't know. It's so important, like having those collaborations, get your brain working in a different way. I don't know if that answers any of your question, Casey, but that's kind of how that came to be.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think that answers the question for sure. Yeah, I noticed the sewing machine behind you, and it was making me think about was it Double the Distance, your show where you have the arms that are going like over the top and then like connecting up from the bottom, and it was like, wow, I just thought that was such an interesting way to like connect pieces like physically as well as like, you know, metaphorically.
Yeah, that was the grad show. That was the one I was talking about, where I had all the sculptures brought in, I think, for the first time in my work. I'm glad is that on my website? I was like, I actually was thinking about that piece the other day. I was like, is that anywhere? Did I record that? So I'm glad it's on there. For sure. Go back on there
and the ceramics. When did that come about at the same time?
That came about, I think, after my first was born, and my friend from grad school came to visit, and I think we were sitting there. She's always been very, consistent in her work. So she was like sitting, I really didn't want to work at that time. I was like, I'm not going to be an artist again. And and we were at the dining room table, and she's like drawing. I was like, fine, I'll draw with you. And then we just started talking about like, maybe I should do something different, like ceramics. And she's like, yeah, you should do ceramics. And that just kind of got me. I got a membership at Mudfire, which is, I don't know if you're familiar, but Mudfire is like a community ceramic center here. Then you can go and you get like a membership, and they give you, so you have places to work, and they have all the glazes, and they'll teach you anything you want as long as you pay the membership. It's amazing. Very cool. And you can buy your clay there, and they fire everything. Anyway, so that's what I started doing, and I fell in love with it. And I go in and out of being over there, but right now I'm doing a whole series of sculptures for a show in the fall at the goat farm. It's just going to be a ceramic show, and I'm excited about it. It's like dragons and things, and I'm very so cool. So we'll see how it turns out. I think the hardest part is the glazing, right? It's so hard. Just don't know.
Yeah, it's always a bit of a, close the lid of the kiln and then say a prayer to the ceramics gods.
It's terrifying. And it's like color's so important in my work, and I'm like, oh, please.
Well, I was hoping to get the opportunity to ask you about your palette and your painting. and how it sort of came about. It's very unique to you in the sense that I don't really see the combinations you're using in other people's work so much.
Gosh, a couple of things. So when I was an art therapist, I worked with tons of different people, and sometimes their color combinations would be like totally out of left field because they weren't like trained artists, right? But they were in here, they were drawing, and I'll be like, I just remember being like, these color combinations are amazing, and I think just it like opened up the door of like, you don't got it, you don't have to like do what you were told, or make these like perfect palettes come together, like do something really left field and it's more interesting. And that was before I was really making work again, but it stuck in my mind. And then when I was in grad school, I saw my work was really dark the first year. It was like a lot of black and a lot of like heaviness and like muted palettes. And I went to New York to visit our friend Kalpana, and I went to a show at PS1. It was Maria, I don't know how to say her last name, Lasnig, or it's Lassnig. Lasnig? I don't know. Anyway, she's just a phenomenal painter, and she would use these super, super bright neon colors with portraiture and a lot of self-portraits. And I like was just mesmerized, and I started bringing some of that back with me to my studio. And that's where a lot of the saturated colors started coming from. And I was also looking at my mom's skin at the time and trying to portray that. And the color got more and more intense as I was trying to replicate skin tones and the ways that it shifted and changed in the light. Anyway, that's how a lot of the colors came to be. And I just love green and pink. I was just like, love it together obsessively. And I tell everyone, I wish I could paint in muted colors. It's my dream. I feel it's so hard.
Well, it transferred beautifully to your soft sculpture too. I mean, it ties the palette ties all the work together. I mean, in the imagery, but
yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
So I heard stories about how when you all knew each other as young people, that you were doing some more realistic kind of renderings of horses. Was it, you guys? Is that what you said?
Yeah, dogs, horses, people too, but yeah, much more. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you develop the style you have now? Because it's much more whimsical.
I think I was going through so much in grad school, like I feel like every week or month, it felt like week. I was trying something new, like a new vocabulary, to like just experimenting. And I was looking at the same time, I did this book somewhere over here. Should I get it? I did this book of these I did these photographs of me and my mom, like our faces meshed together. Mm-hmm. And so it would make, do y'all remember there's like an app at that time, like it's really old school now, but it's like you could put like part of someone's face here, like while you took your photo, and it would be like your two faces came together in the photo on your phone. And so I was taking photos of us together like that. And then I paint them, but it would cause like, you have to like really big eyes and like a tiny mouth. And so and then I would paint them super small so that it was hard to control the paint marks, if that makes sense. It would get really like big paint marks. And then when I would blow the painting up and paint it big, I would incorporate the big paint marks. I would work from the painting instead of the photo. So anyways, it made things a little more cartoony. Like my mom's expressions became more cartoonized. And also I think it just exaggerated the emotion behind what I was trying to convey. So that was part of it. And then also, I remember sitting in class and like drawing two figures hugging together with those faces. And I was like, there's something here. And it just kind of evolved like step by step from that. And I think the other thing I remember, like my last year, one of my professors, like, why, like, you're going through something so sad and difficult. Like, why are your paintings so bright and cheerful. And I was like, well, like to me, it was such a layered, the grief and everything is so layered. Like there's like so much dark humor that like runs through it. And like my sister and I we'd cry, but we'd like die laughing also all the time. Like the things my mom would do, it was just like bonkers. Like we took her out one day. I'll just give you an example. We took her out one day to go shopping, and she would just like pace the floor, like the aisles, and like we wouldn't really lose her, but like we kind of lose her. And then but we'd be like, Mom, and like you'd walk down and you just see her shoes, like one here, one here. Like she just stepped out of them and kept going. Like, so you're like, she was here. We know that. And then we would eventually find her. But it's things like that, like the visual of like shoes. And I remember some like clerk was like, what? Like, so yeah, excuse us, but yeah, just things like that. And so I think in the work, I want to convey that it's not all just like happy, sad. There's like everything.
Well, and that contrast is part of what makes it so successful for me, is because there's not an easy way in or out of grief or struggle or whatever it may be. And so often I feel like we're encouraged to put on a happy face, which I really think is more for other people than it is for ourselves. We're just tired of our emotions. So that I've always enjoyed that tension, because in knowing you, I knew that there was so much more behind it. It had a lot to do with what you were living through.
Yeah, I listened to the podcast from last time, and I really the writing you had about your I forgot her name.
Oh, my Aunt Paula.
Your Aunt Paula. But I was like, it just so resonated with me because of the humor and also just the stories within and
there's a parallel there for sure, because it's loss is heavy, grief is heavy, but it can be balanced out by joy or laughter. Whatever it takes to combat it.
Yeah. Gotta have it to get through it.
Yeah. Just get to the other side, It's only way out is through sometimes.
Yeah. It seems like it's the easiest thing to recall in those situations is the grief. It's like the hard things, and it's hard to like remember the good stuff, because it seems like, at least for me, like it fades away. Whereas like the traumatizing parts are what remain. So just like vivid in my mind. Yeah. I mean, we were talking before the show, and like there's like a motherly loss between Tori and Jamie and I, and so we were thinking. I was just like thinking about how you're talking about there's all these fun times and and how you're rendering, and then I don't know. I at least from my experience, that's how I feel.
That will you repeat one more time? Like the trauma is.
Yeah, like it's more like prominent. Like that's the easier thing to remember. Sometimes it feels like the joyous parts are like harder to bring up when you're kind of working through it. For me personally, that's how I feel.
Oh yeah, I remember so many times. Talking to my sister about like, when am I going to remember like who she was again? Because when you're just like deep in it, and I totally forgot so many and they're like still coming back. Like some of those happier things, it really got like overshadowed majorly by all that trauma. So yeah, it's so hard.
Seems like time is part of it. I had a wild something yesterday that has not happened in years, but I can't remember what the trigger was, but something happened and I thought, I'm going to call Mama. And she's been gone for 16 years. And so rarely does that ever happen, but it was like, for that split second, she's still on Earth. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so, of course, that has both sides of the, the positive and negative or whatever, but it was a positive reaction for me.
Wait, was this yesterday?
It was yesterday.
I was talking about your mom and how I saw her ghost, at the cabin. Yeah. So this is,
what was her ghost?
This, no. So Marcia and I were watching Fortune Famesters comedy special, and she talks about ghosts. You have to watch it, Jamie, because she's from the South, and she's like talking about how her mom is like, you know, talking about haunted houses. And I was saying, you know, like my friend Jamie, like his family is kind of like this, like they see ghosts and like there's just a lot of ghosts, but like in all the houses. And so like at one point Fortune's imitating her mom, and she's like, that is the most haunted house I have ever lived in. And like and they're talking about a ghost named Catherine, ironically. And so she's like, well, I saw Catherine the other day. And Fortune's like, who's Catherine? She's like, well, she's dead. You know, just like, it's so Southern. It just really made me think of your mom, honestly. And so I was talking about your mom, and then I was like, well, actually I saw, you know, after she passed, I saw her go. Well, what, I don't know. I saw her sitting at the side of your bed, and it was like this very calming experience for me. And it made me feel like, okay, things were going to be okay. But I honestly don't know why I brought this up, but because now I'm like really self-conscious that I'm talking about ghosts. But
I mean, for the first year or 2 years after she died, somebody would come and sit on the end of my bed almost every night. I don't
really
know how to explain it, but yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I don't remember what it was I remembered yesterday, but it was like, I wish I could remember. I'll remember it later, and I'll tell you.
Oh, that's why I brought it up, because I just feels very like connected that I was like thinking about her, and she popped up, and so it's like she
apparently doesn't appear to everybody. I ain't saying
You never told me this.
Yeah.
Story.
I don't know, but well, so one thing that actually what I wanted to say about your work, and it is almost like it's not
I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about ghosts.
Ghosts. Okay, back to ghosts. Has anyone else seen a ghost? Let's bring me some company.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have also on a bed.
Okay. Wait, Tori, you tell your ghost story. Let me hear it.
So I for years in my early 20s, I would wake up and the bed would be shaking, and it would be, did you have the same thing?
This happens to my dad.
And it freaks me out. Yes. Like the bed is dancing. Like the only way to describe it is like one leg is on the floor at a time.
Yeah. It would like, so yeah, similar, like, and it'd be like this, like, and then everybody's like, you're just waking yourself up. But no, I remember waking up in my dream, and I looked at the foot of the bed, and there was a woman sitting there shaking her leg. And I was like, would you please stop it? You keep waking up. And she looked, I mean, she was super pissed. And she was like, ugh. But I've never had it happen again.
That's wild. Where was that?
It was in Chicago.
Oh my God. She was like, you were not worth haunting. You were not freaked out. You're just asking me to stop. Like, you're the worst haunting victim ever.
And I had one other one in another house where I woke up, and I was in the bed with my sister, and there was like other family in the house. And so I was like freaked out, but I was like, it must be someone else. But I woke up, and there was this man standing over us with like, it's like a white t-shirt on. I couldn't see his face, but he was like in his 20s. And like, Jackie, wake up. And she wakes up, and I turn the light on, and there's no one there. And it was like the scariest thing I've ever had happen. And I was like, I'm leaving. Like, I'm done with this vacation. Like, but fortunately, knock on wood, nothing since then. But yeah, not fun. Calm, lovely stories like yours. No.
You're like, bitch, do not haunt me. And she's like, fine.
Like, I'm done with you ghosts. I'm done. I'll get worried they're going to be like, she's ready for more.
Yeah, what are we calling in here? But
oh yeah, that's true.
Nothing. Sage.
Shouldn't have brought it up.
No. Jamie, what's your ghost story? You have a lot.
No, I do. I do. Trying to think of the one that I guess the one that stands out most to me is that I saw my grandfather in his house. Very rarely, this was out in the country here in Natchez, north of town, and very rarely would I ever be there alone. And I was young; I might have been single digits, but nobody else was in the bottom, which is what they call the area down by the river. Natchez is up here, Armlane is down here, and there was nobody else in the bottom. Like there was nobody across the street. There were no cousins. I was just down there, and I thought, well, I'll just pop the Little Mermaid in, open the Coke, and have a great afternoon, and I got Little Mermaid going. I had my drink. I had my snacks. And I was, it's chilly in here. I was in the central hallway of the house. It's an old planter's house where it's a center hall and 2 rooms on either
How
side.
old are you?
Huh?
How old are you?
I think I was like 9.
Okay.
10.
I don't know if it was like
And so
last
I get up
week.
to grab it, and I turn around, and my grandfather is sitting in my seat, looking at me, but watching The Little Mermaid at the same time. And I took it as validation that I was doing exactly what I was supposed to be doing. And
Watching you.
because I was always teased by my cousins about playing with Barbies or doing the girly things and not wanting to like tromp around in the mud and shoot guns and eat dirt or whatever. I don't know.
Really
But
do.
I thought it was wild. So I took it as a validation. He's like, you enjoyed the shit out of Little Mermaid today. You got the place to yourself. Crank the AC down a little more. Get another blanket. Whatever. But what's interesting is that he, accustomed in the South, or at least in this corner, is that a lot of times instead of having your funeral service at a funeral parlor or a church, that people will hold it in the house. And so that spot where the chair was is actually where his coffin was laid out. And so I remember the service very well. And I remember me and my cousins all knocking on the coffin saying, good luck. But yeah, that's the one that stands out most for me.
But when you knocked,
It's usually family.
you knocked his ghost right out of that coffin.
Wake up! Years from a Little Mermaid.
That's wild.
Yeah.
All right, Casey.
Okay, so I had grown up in Wisconsin, and when I was like a senior in high school, my stepdad had moved us out to this little tiny house in the middle of nowhere. We didn't have any neighbors or anything. We were just surrounded by cornfields, and there was like a 1-room schoolhouse next door. And I'd either just graduated from high school or I was about to, and was home alone on a weekday. And I might have been smoking weed. And the only way into this house was a little side door. And if you walked in there, you would hit a landing that would take you to the basement. If you went to the right, or if you went forward, you'd open another door and go into the kitchen and like the living room kind of area. And I knew he was at work. And so I was there by myself. And all of a sudden I heard these footsteps coming up the stairs, like heavy, like boot sounds. And I was like, oh shit, the jig is up. And I saw the door handle like move, and the door went open about a third of the way, and then I didn't hear any more footsteps, and nothing happened. And I was like, oh boy. And I grabbed a flashlight and went downstairs to check it out, because I was like, I know you didn't. We did. No one was down there, and it was like a super creepy basement. And maybe like a month later, there was it was tornado season had hit, and I had to go down there by myself because there was like the tornado sirens were going off. Yeah, but so I guess I didn't actually see a ghost, but experienced something really weird.
That's the worst I've ever heard.
It was pretty scary. Oh my god, all basements are haunted. Like that's just well known. Like
don't have one.
Oh my god, both of our basements, Jamie, both of our basements were so fucking haunted. Like the most.
Yeah, I would hear stuff going on upstairs when I was in my basement. I would go upstairs and check it out, and there's nothing going on. But I guess the one that stands out the most was being down there and hearing like church music blaring. And I go upstairs, and it's emanating from a clock radio that was not only not plugged in, but didn't have any batteries in it. I ran out of that house like white lightning and up the hill here at the house. There's a door, and your mom was like, "You look like you've seen a ghost." And I'm like, "Oh my god, Sue!"
I did.
Singing church music at me.
My god, this is giving me so much inspiration, ghost inspiration for my art.
Ghosts.
Mm-hmm. Well, to segue back to your work, you said that your, the topics and sort of focus of your painting has shifted in the last couple of years to be really more about motherhood and such like that. So, what's interesting is that the imagery and the approach seems similar, but can you talk about that shift and what maybe was left behind and what moving forward?
Yeah, I think I'm still trying to figure that out a bit. I got really into and I still am, but excited about my kids' drawings. which I feel like some people, I don't know. I'm like, what do people think about that? I don't know. But because they're my kids, I'm obsessed with them and whatever. But, I was just like again, like the use of color, the composition, my son Cal would make these rainbows with like barbed wire looking like dagger looking like lines within the rainbow. And I was like, that looks so weird but awesome. And I want to use that. So that would come into some of the things and the way that he would do a tree. And it was very like, oh, a kid does a tree like this, but also because the work was about my experiences with motherhood and that relationship, I felt important to incorporate that in in some of the work. And so that actually, there's one of those trees in the installation or that one of the flowers he did, the drawings I made into one of the big sculptures at the airport. And like another installation I did some of his trees, and sometimes they come into the paintings.
That is why.
Yeah, it's been really fun to do that. And then so the figures have been shifting and morphing. So I was still kind of, playing around with the cartoonish blob. I don't know. Someone called them like bloopy, blobby like figures that I was doing a lot with the. We lost Casey.
We lost Casey. Hopefully she'll be back.
She's like, I'm done with this.
Do you think a ghost got her?
Finally tracked her down.
I hope she didn't turn into a ghost. There she is.
Fiona, there's a ghost.
Fiona. Oh my god. We were wondering if you got taken by a ghost.
I did.
Casey.
I did, and then I fought my way back.
Okay.
Thank God.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't remember what.
Do your kids like to draw and color and paint? And all that
they love it. Yeah, they go in and out of spurts.
Right.
I was very proud of my oldest. He got the art award.
Hey,
and for like 1 month in his first year of school, but he really likes it. He's getting to be really like into boy things. So like you were talking about like running around like playing in the dirt, and like he like loves to put on army fatigues, go pretend to shoot with like wood sticks out in the back, and which is whatever, but it's kind of fascinating how it's just him. That's just what he wants, right? I'm like, because that's not me like telling him to go do that. I'd be like, don't you want to come paint with mom in the house? So I don't know if he's getting away from it, but he definitely, I feel like, has like like I joke around like it. I feel like I shouldn't tell my joke on here. I don't know what other art people, but like Willis.
I'll go for it.
But I joke that I feel like how Larry Walker must have felt when Kara Walker came along, because like some of his stuff is just so brilliant sometimes, and I'm like, why am I making art? Like this kid is so like naturally gifted, and I know it's like art stuff, but some of that I'm just like, like why didn't I think of that? And so I guess that's also why I bring it into the work, because I'm just I am inspired by it. I think it's really cool. But they don't care at all that I'm an artist. They're like, yeah, whatever, mom. Like they love to come up here and paint in my studio sometimes, but I don't know.
Did they recognize their work and your work at the airport? They're like, oh,
Cal
that's
does.
a flower.
Yeah, and I'm like, is it okay that I borrow, your imagery? And he's like, yeah, that's okay. He's cool with it. Yeah, but they don't care. I'm their mom. They're like, whatever. Mom's just doing this thing. Anybody can do it.
Well, so you've got a ceramics show coming up this fall. Where else do you see your work headed? Do you imagine yourself staying in these 3 different disciplines? And
yeah, I think so. I think I'd like to get more and more into the ceramics, but I'm very fickle. I jump around. I get bored with something pretty easily, and so who knows? I might jump. I want to do another. I did a stop motion animation a couple years ago, and I hated the process. I liked how it turned out. So I'm like, oh, that'd be kind of fun. I have ideas like of what it might look like. And I'm doing this new series with this like rider figure And I don't know, it might be kind of fun to explore that, or maybe you'd stop motion with like clay. I don't know. It might just be kind of fun to, maybe they go back and forth. I don't know.
Oh my gosh. I'm seeing like sort of like blobbies coming up and then disappearing, and that would be amazing. I hope you do it. I'm curious, just hearing you say I hated the process, but I love the outcome of like, I feel like that's like 90% of my work. I mean, not all, but like I've been very like vocal about this table that was like trying to kill me and then finishing it. But I'm like so happy with it now that it's done. And I'm like, God, that was so amazing. And like, I have forgotten all, like, I imagine maybe it's like what going through labor is like. I mean, obviously I'm not equating making a table to going through labor. Don't come at me, people.
Yes. Everyone's equating labor and making tables.
I'm right there with you. I can vouch for you. Yes.
No, but do you think, but first of all, you started me on woodworking. Do you remember that?
Oh, wow.
I do. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know
That's
that.
so wild.
That.
Yeah. Sorry.
So this is all your fault. Not sorry.
Not sorry.
Yeah. Anyways, Tori took me to my first shop and introduced me to a woodworker that helped me make my first project. So, yes, she did.
When you were in Athens, or?
Yeah, I think so. I wanted to make a headboard. It was before that.
Yeah, I was in Atlanta. We went to my studio, and Seth Rogers, he's a local woodworker, and he owned the big space where my studio was. And you had said you were interested, and so we went and talked to him.
Yeah,
about the process.
Yeah, and I think we used his shop too. But okay, moving on. Anyways, so what I want to say is like that, like, how do you decide in those moments where you're like, I want this outcome and I know I'm going to like it and I know it's going to represent me, but I know the process is going to be kind of painful or, more tedious than I want it to be or whatever. Like how do you sort of, because I thought what was interesting you said earlier is like, I didn't want to spend a lot of time in the case. And so you sort of changed your work and you were like, it's lazy, but I don't think it's lazy. I think it's really smart, and that you're choosing what parts of the process you're willing to participate in. And I wonder if that has come with experience, actually, of like, knowing how much you want to engage in a process that maybe might be sort of tedious to get the outcome that you want, and how to maybe jump around some of those ones that you don't want to do or whatever.
I work very the only way I can explain this, I work very intuitively. So there are days I wake up and I'm like, it is a painting day. And so that's what I'll focus on. And then I'll get back to more what you're talking about. But, and then this is a ceramics day. Or sometimes it's like, it's a ceramics day because this is the only day I can be there for a long time. And I hate glazing. And so sometimes I have to go like wait until I'm like, all right, I'm ready to glaze. Cause it's like, I have to get in the headspace. I don't know. And sometimes, I do have to push myself and talk myself through it. Or if I just start it, it'll be like, okay, and we're doing it. And then you're in the flow. Like for that animation thing, I probably wouldn't have finished it except I had received a grant to do it. So I had to finish it and I had to have it by a deadline. And so it was like, I have to get in here, and get this all done. So I don't know. And what else? Yeah, they're workarounds. I mean, my clay pieces they're when they come out of the kiln, if I put them to, I'm not trained as a ceramics person, but I have had classes. So I know the basics of what I'm doing, but I feel like if someone in the ceramic studio sees what I'm doing and how I'm putting it together, they probably have a slight heart attack because I'm just slapping stuff and like, I hope this stays together through firing. And it's like, if I know,
please don't put her pot next to mine.
I know, I'm sure they're like,
don't explode.
Don't put Tori's next to anyone else's kiln. But it comes out, I mean, knock on wood, they've all been great. They don't fall apart, There's some over there, they're doing just fine. But I like tend to like want to rush things. And so if I can't have that in a process, I get very like, just like I said, I get bored really fast. So I don't know. And I love painting. So that never really feels like a chore unless I'm trying to figure out what I'm painting. That's the hardest. Like if I feel like there's nothing in the well, it's gone. There's nothing else to paint in the world. That's where I get kind of depressed, but it's nice when it's flowing.
Do you work consistently? Like are you a Monday through Friday, or I guess as a busy mom, you just whenever you can do it, or?
Yeah, it's like ceramic. Thursdays is ceramics day. I go there pretty much every Thursday at this point because it's like my kids are in school longer that day, and it's open certain hours. They're longer. And then other days, like I need to paint this day, and I'll like put it in my calendar, and then I get sucked into something else. But I try to get up here as much as I can. Yeah, I do try to treat it as a job. I don't think my husband thinks I do, but I really, in my head, I'm trying as hard as I can.
That feeling of there's nothing left to paint in the world, I feel like really resonates with me. I think one of the hardest parts, in my opinion, of doing art is just figuring out what to make or like what I want to explore. And when you're feeling like that, there's nothing left to paint in the world. How do you end up finding a topic to talk about or paint about?
Oh, I don't know. I feel like, right. Okay, I'll tell you what I'm working on right now. It's the dumbest topic ever. It's all right. I don't even want to.
You're hearing it first at the Great Boston Podcast.
Yeah.
Tori Tinsley is up too.
I'm like, no, I'm working on. All right, so I don't want to bring it up because you'll be like, oh my god, these like romantasy books that have been super popular, like Court of Thorns and Roses. Okay, so like all of my friends are like super into these books, and they got me hooked on these books and like all the different fantasy series there are, and they're super fun. It's like the greatest escape ever. But I personally, and I want to know why they are so popular right now. Like, what is it? And I'm like, what is it? Like, what are like the intersections and also the differences and like all the things about like, what is it saying about women? And like, what is it saying about like our relationships? And what is it saying about like, I don't know, there's like a lot of like fighting in it, like physical and like an emotion, the emotional, like silliness that goes on. But I just, and I don't know. So I'm like doing this series of this like main character like fighting these like mythical creatures and I don't know. And there's also like a lot of angst I'm working through. Like in these books, it's like always the chosen one that comes out on top, which is so problematic. But I'm like in my characters, they're like really struggling. They're like really, I don't know. And you're like, are they going to make it? I don't know. Like it just, but I'm also still trying to figure out what I'm trying to say and why I'm saying it. So I've been writing. I was listening to y'all talk about how much y'all write and like process things for your writing. And that's the hardest part for me. I like hate doing it. But it is so helpful to find clarity. And so I'm like writing things a little bit, like more like lists right now. Like, what does this mean? But yeah, so anyways, so yes, this topic just came from like something really random, but the work is so fun to make. And so I'm making like, I don't know, she's just like this, like the ceramics are like, it's like her, like sometimes she's like very forlorn, like little sculptures of her. And they're very whimsical. Like it's still the cartoonish figure, but now she has a big braid and like, and a knife. And like, sometimes she's like, I have her like, I hope it comes out okay. But like, she's like making out with like a evil prince, and she's stabbing him in the back, at the same time. And I'm like, just they're like, I have like a big cat I made. That's like the I don't know, like the evil entity. I don't know. I'm just like, I'm having fun with it. I don't know where it's going to go. I don't know if people are going to get what I'm trying to put into it or what I'm trying to figure out of it, but I'm hoping at least my my enjoyment I'm having comes across, that people connect, at least on some level.
I mean, a sense of playfulness that matches up with, your other efforts, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope so.
And humor, of course.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I think
Always fun.
too,
I
like,
had a friend, I was just going to say, I have a friend that was like, you have so much humor in your work, but you're not funny. I was like,
oh, who's that friend? She's gone. They gone. They gone.
lovely. I was like, I know,
Ghosts, come for her.
girl, in front of a whole bunch of people. That's why I don't mind saying it here. I was like, and that's it. We're done talking about the work now. Like,
oh my gosh. Well, that's funny. I was gonna ask you one of the questions. I was like, oh, I gotta ask Tori this. What's an inappropriate comment you've gotten? And you already answered it. So
oh yeah. That would be
God,
that is one last year. And I love this person. I'm not gonna say who it was, but yeah, it was pretty funny. And everyone was like, I had no time to answer or respond in a clever way.
Yeah, what question? They're just
please direct her to this podcast.
You're hilarious.
Yeah. But yeah, that was the biggest one. The other one that's a pet peeve is anytime I make something big that I can't really sell, like those installations. They're like, well, what are you going to do with it when it comes down? I'm like, I don't know. I can't think about that when I'm making it, or I won't make it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's not fun.
Yeah. That's interesting. I just hearing you say that, I think I've never thought about that before, but I think one of my possum moments is that I do think about, I don't want a bunch of stuff that I have to deal with. And so maybe I need to stop doing that and get a storage unit. I'm just kidding.
That's like what I'm trying not to do.
No, I don't want to do that, but
the other side of the studio is just like stuff left over from my last installation along the wall, because I have nowhere else to put it. But yeah, so it goes.
Yeah. But I heard, like, I'm kind of obsessed with Rick Rubin right now and his take on creativity. And he talked about not thinking about the audience as you're creating. And I think you're really phenomenal at that. And like, just really just going inward, right? And really making what's inside of you. And like, it resonates with people, because I think everyone can feel like, regardless of how because they're going to perceive it how they perceive it, right, through their own lens. But it's like the emotion of your work, I think, comes through so deeply in a way that you're not considering other people during your process.
I am.
You are?
A bit. I mean, I paint like what's interesting, or I paint palettes that are interesting, or a painting that I think is interesting. But I think it's from grad school, just this like, well, is the audience going to be interested? And what I try to remember is like, if I think it's interesting and good, and if I really like it, then chances are other people are probably going to like it, because it'll be honest from me. But I remember like in grad school when professor came in, he's like, oh, this actually is like interesting to look at now. Like, or something, like, like your audience will find this interesting now. And it was like, I finally had like hit on something, and it's like it's hard to unhear that, like, yeah, you're also making for other people potentially. I mean, it is, there's part of it. It's the business, and it's hard. Things really got hard mentally when I started working with galleries, because then I was like, oh, do I need to like shift things up? Do I need to like keep making something the same way, or is this good enough? Is this not good enough? And I'm trying to get away from that. I'm still trying to get away from that.
Do you have a second to sort of speak on your experience with that shift to being represented, or maybe any advice you could give to other artists who are seeking representation?
Which part?
Well, I guess just the overall experience. Has it been, do you feel like you've lost control, or what is it about those relationships that are tough?
I think I've been really lucky. I've been with 2 galleries, and they've both been very supportive of my work, especially Laney, Contemporary Home with right now. They are really, they're really supportive. They don't pressure me, to be churning out anything. They're great, yeah, about selling the work and being in contact. I don't know. But I think I'm just working through my own internal dialogue when I'm like, oh, should I be going this way or that? Are they, is somebody going to like this? Is this, I don't know, a continuation? Or and I'm also, people that have bought or my work over the years, and I feel like I owe it to them also at times, which is stressful to keep moving forward, especially when I want to just like, I just want to give up. I just want to like be a stay-at-home mom and like fold laundry all day. Like I'm just tired, or I don't have anything. I feel like my brain's gone. Like I have nothing else to make ever again. And I want to, but then I'm like, oh yeah, what about those people? And which is silly, but I don't know. Yeah, like working with I don't know. Working with a gallery is great. I think it just depends on who you're with. Does that mean I don't know?
But so all that questioning is still there, like even after having
every
somebody
day.
Help and share your work, show your work, sell your work, still in your head about it.
Always, yeah, always. For me, yeah. I wish I didn't care.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people assume that it would get easier, but it actually complicates things, I guess, to some degree.
Yeah.
Just in making of,
I feel like I just fell off the face of the earth, and I've actually had. I actually had someone who was a gallery owner be like, you are doing just so great. And then all of a sudden you had all these kids and I never saw you again. And I'm like basically like you died. And I was like, oh, thank you. Good to see you too. I'm like, okay. But I feel like I've been gone so long and I'm in a lot of ways, like I just haven't been as prolific. I haven't been posting. I haven't been at these shows. And I'm like, oh, I bet people have forgotten me. Like, cause there is like a high turnover rate. I think in every town, and you see it in Atlanta. It's like the newcomers come in and they're making incredible work, but it's like, okay, well, we've seen Tori, what's new? And so I'm like, oh, they've probably forgotten about me. But it's really nice when people like, hey, like I get like a text out of the blue, want to get together, or I'm coming into town to like to see. I'm like, you want to see me? Like it's I mean, they're friends, but also it was within that sphere, and I'm like, well, I'm not cool anymore, or like my work's not something new and fresh. So I just feel like, oh well, I'm done. I'm a has-been. It feels or like I don't know, like she's not good anymore. So those like I continue to have those like thoughts, which is silly. And then I'm like, don't worry about it, Tori, just make the work. And so that's why I try to get into the headspace of like, that's silly, just make it. Who cares?
Yeah, they can eat shit because you're showing this fall.
That's But yeah, it's like this series. I have nowhere to show it. I have no shows coming up. I was like, I just have to make it. It's in my head. I have to get it out. And then I think someone should watch. Someone should see it besides me, but I don't know what. I don't know who or when. So we'll see.
Well, this was amazing, and I know you have things to do, but I just wondered if everybody, like, I have a takeaway, and I think if everybody wants to share a takeaway, and then we can wrap up. So my takeaway, like, it was interesting to hear you talk about, like, to not have ideas to make, and that's something I do not struggle with, but I think it is because I don't make because I have so much trouble finishing things, and so my goal moving forward is to really, I'm like, I want to see if I can dry up my ideas, like, and just really finish stuff and like power through
so fast that
yeah. So
so
that's what I'm going to take away.
Cool.
I guess mine would be that you say you wake up and you just intuitively, today's painting day or today's ceramics day, and I think that I could benefit from being less stuck in a routine, and maybe
do you have a routine? I know we're out of time, but I'm so curious. I should have asked about y'all's routines, but no.
On my off days, I'm in here trying to make it happen. For sure. But I also just wanted to put a note out there that having known Tori so long and having worked with her and met her when I did, like to encourage all of y'all with young creative folks to get them out there and get them enrolled in an art class or seek out opportunities that would help them to grow, whether they become an artist or not. And if they're lucky, they won't be. But they should definitely get those creative ideas out there.
Did you say if they're lucky, they won't be?
Amen. Do something practical.
Please.
Get a law degree.
One of my good friends, he's always like, I just wish I loved banking.
I know.
Me too. That would be great.
But yeah, to be a little less rigid in how I approach my work. I like the idea of, well, what does it feel like today? Maybe we'll just write all day and forget the painting that needs to be done.
Yeah.
Definitely. One of the things that I took away was just the need for self-care and just listening to yourself and, I don't know. It's kind of like what Jamie was saying with, just see how you feel, go that direction, take time if you need to. I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so, so much. It is so good to see your face and hear your voice. And thank you for sharing your art with us and, answering all of our questions and everything. It's been so excited to watch where it's all gone and to see where it's going. So excited for the new series.
I just love seeing all your faces. This has made my whole week, my whole month. It's just brightened my day. So thanks so much for inviting me. I hope
thank you. And we will link to Tori's website and your Instagram, and maybe by the time the episode comes out, you'll have blue sky.
Oh, I have blue sky. I just have one painting on there though. It's just
okay. We'll link your blue sky too. So anything else you want us to link to or anything?
No.
When is the show?
I feel like I need to start like a blog and like a podcast. Y'all are so prolific here. It's not till fall. I don't have a date yet, so we're waiting to see when we're throwing around dates.
Okay, well maybe we'll have you back on before the show.
Oh, I would like that. I'd like to hear about what's happening with you guys next time.
Maybe something will be happening with us.
Yeah.
Three possum bump for a while.
Right now, there's a musk. We cannot bust. All right, possums. We will see you next time. And let us know what you think of the episode and follow us on Blue Sky. And
don't like awesome. Make your work.
That's right.
Yes. Toodle blossoms.
Toodles.
Bye.